first ghost story experience started happening to me about 2 days after my mom and stepdad bought this house. We have a child-proof door to keep my little sister and the dogs from going downstairs. It only comes to about 3 feet high, and it can be opened from the other side. Since we had just moved in, it hadn't got any of the bedroom furniture into the house yet. I'd slept out on a cot in our living room, where you can see the child-proof door that leads to the staircase. Anyway, as soon as I drifted off, I felt as though someone was watching me, and so I rolled over to face the door, only to discover what seemed to be a solid shadow, with one arm over the door and head peering over at me. It soon disappeared, and since it was dark, I just convinced myself that my eyes were playing tricks on me, so I went back to sleep. But it kept happening, and my mother soon started telling me she's seen it too, wherever she goes to get some water or go to the bathroom, and I hadn't told her I'd seen anything. We could both swear to God that there's someone there looking at us. Then after we finally got settled in, I started sleeping in my room instead of the living room. Since I can't sleep without a little light, and my bedroom is in the basement, I have a dull green light in my walk-in closet, which you can clearly see into from my bed. So one night, I'd been reading my book, and over the top of my book, I saw a solid shadowy figure in the shape of a man just walk through my closet. I was so scared, I ran upstairs as fast as I could. My mom and stepdad came out and asked me what was wrong, and so I told them. They looked irritated and said that it was just my imagination and I should go back downstairs and get some sleep. So I did, until 1:30 in the morning. I woke up because I heard someone calling my name, and I thought maybe it was time to go to school. Then when I was fully awake, I realized school wouldn't start for another week, and that the voice was calling my name, and it was unfamiliar to me. So I froze in my bed, but I kept hearing my name, until it was like a whisper in my ear, and I felt something that was almost like a cold finger running down my back. I almost ran back upstairs to wake my parents again, but remember what their reaction had been the last time, and decided that maybe, if I just laid in bed, it would go away. Then the TV turned on to channel 60. At the time we didn't have cable, and on the TV was a televised ad about contacting the dead. That it shut off. I screamed and ran up the stairs as fast as I could and slept on the couch for the rest of the night. To this day I refuse to sleep downstairs, no matter how childish it may sound. Also, another thing that has happened to me for a long time, I was definitely afraid that the lights in my room would go off and my door would slam shut so I couldn't get out. And one night, when I went downstairs to get something, my door creaked and slowly started closing, and then my lights flickered. I went upstairs as fast as I could and asked everyone if the lights had flickered upstairs, and they all responded no. Various other things still happened in my house, like one time, when I was wrapping a Christmas present, I put down the tape and went to pick it up again, and it wasn't there. I asked my mother, who was in the room with me, if she had taken it, and she said no. We searched all over the house, and finally, we found it on the kitchen counter. CD players go on and off. The dogs bark and growl randomly like there's a stranger standing right in front of them. The cat's hair stands on end, and they hiss at nothing and bolt into the other direction. And sometimes when I go downstairs to do the laundry or something, I got the sudden urge that I need to run quickly or something terrible will happen. And believe me, I do. Hello, my name is Brittany. I'm not possible how my story will be accepted, but a few things that have happened to me are something to consider. There are 3 parts to my story. The first part is my parents' personal encounters. The second part is an encounter my parents and I both shared. And the third is my own personal encounters. Part 1, the noisy spirit. When my parents first bought out the house, it was very small. Only a kitchen, dining room, and living room. Upstairs, there were 2 bedrooms and a bathroom. My parents had been inspecting every room one at a time to see exactly what they needed to fix up. My parents were upstairs in one of the bedrooms when they heard noises downstairs in the kitchen. When they got downstairs, according to their story to investigate, the cupboard doors were swinging back and forth wildly. They walked over to shut them, and voices yelled at them to just leave immediately. They didn't listen. 5 years later, I was born. By then, they had built on 2 family rooms, 2 porches, a laundry room, pantry, and they even built on a shop where they conducted their own business. They normally heard music playing and voices yelling at them, but they ignored it for whatever reason. In the second story, the attacks, when I was 10 years old, a lot of very dangerous attacks started happening. My dad started being ferociously attacked during the night by invisible forces. Now, my dad slept upstairs in his bedroom alone because the bed hurt my mom's back, so she always slept downstairs on the couch. My bedroom is directly beside theirs, so I could hear everything going on in there. Normally, my dad will wake up to feel as if he was being held down, strangled, bit, scratched, cut with a knife, carried around the room, etc. When he would wake up in the morning, he would have bite marks in impossible places on his body, cuts, scratches, red bruises around his neck and wrists, and long deep gashes across his chest. Now, this didn't happen all the time, all in one night, but things happen frequently. I was really starting to get worried. My grandma and Aunt Phil taught me an Italian prayer to keep the evil away. I would pronounce it right now, but I'm not entirely sure if I even did it right, so I'll refrain from doing so right now. But the prayer is the prayer to the Virgin Mary, and its purpose is to keep all the evil out. They told me to say that 3 times every night, and it would keep the evil out. I said it 3 times in dedication to my father, and things slowly started to get better. It was still very scary, because I never expected the entities to be so violent. But in my 3rd paranormal experience, these are my personal encounters. Well, now that I'm 16, certain things have happened to me. They aren't violent or even frightening, more so reassuring. To explain it a bit, my bedroom door is the kind of door that unless you prop it open, it swings shut again, and fast, too. Well, for the past year and a couple months, I've noticed that there might be a spirit that is checking in on me. When I sleep, or late at night, my door will swing open, wide enough for a head to look in, to check in on me, to make sure I'm okay. I'll look because it creaks, and see nothing there. It will stay open at that width for 2 minutes, as if someone is checking in on me. Then it will slowly shut, the doorknob will turn, and it will close all the way. Like I said, it was reassuring, because I felt as if someone, whoever it was checking in on me to make sure I'm okay, and they're just trying to tell me they're here for me. I'm glad I have it. I look at it as my spirit guide. I'm pagan, so on my website, you will understand my belief as spirit guides. I'm 19 years old, work in the computer industry in London, England. When I was around 10 or 11, I used to live in another part of the county, called Dudley, West Midlands. Opposite our house was a pub called the Hangman's Tree. We found out later that this pub was where people in the late 18th century hung people for crimes, such as highway robbery, murder, etc. Anyways, my sister was about 7 or 8, but didn't like the dark, so she always used to call Mom to take her to the toilet in the night. One night, my mom heard my sister go to the bathroom on her own. In the morning she said, "Well done, you went to the bathroom on your own last night." My sister replied, "No, I didn't, Mommy. The black man took me." My mom panicked at this point and thought someone must have gotten into the house. She said, "What black man are you talking about?" My sister said, "He's my friend. He's a black mist, and he sits with me at night. and tells me stories. We're all getting really scared now. My mom asked me how she knew it was a black man, because when he smiles, I can see his teeth. We were all really freaked out by this, but my sister didn't really seem all that bothered by it. So we decided, whatever it was friendly. A couple of weeks later, I walked into my sister's room to check on her, and found that the rocking chair in the corner of the room was rocking on its own, and at a steady pace, and my sister was fast asleep. I don't know. It may be a comforting presence, but it definitely seems creepy to me. My name is Alex, and I live in Colorado. I've always been in tune with the supernatural. My first experience that I can remember was at my grandmother's house, and I think I was about 5 years old. My grandfather had died long before I was born, and when my mother was about 6 months old, I remember him coming into my room and telling me goodnight, and that he loved me, and telling us a bedtime story of the 3 bears. I asked my grandmother who the man was, and she said no one was in the house but her, my mother, my brother, and I. I told her the man's name, and she laughed, and said my mother probably told me to tell her this. I said my mother was asleep, and was about 20 feet from me, in another room, and I don't think she could have heard him. Granny said that was true, and she called my mother in, and said, "Hey Jackie, did you tell him about Pat?" My mother said no, that she didn't remember him herself. My grandmother asked me to describe the man to her. I said he was about 6 feet tall and wiry, with brown hair and blue eyes, and he could imitate different accents. He told me in an English accent that he loved me, and in a thick Irish accent goodnight. Then he told me the whole story of the 3 bears in a very English accent. He didn't seem like a ghost at all. He seemed completely real to me. She said I described my dead grandfather down to a T. I've never seen my grandfather's picture before, and my grandmother told me so. My grandmother is very open-minded, but the rest of my family is not. She got tears in her eyes, and she took me in her lap. She said, "Patrick, do you know anything about your family history?" I said no. She said, "You hail from a long line of very powerful people." She said that our family was old, and went all the way back to England, Ireland, and even Scotland. Back before the Christians and the Muslims, and back into time immemorial. She said every generation had a special ability, and so did I. My grandmother gets dreams, and they always come true. 2 years before Mount St. Helens blew its top, she told us it was going to blow. She's like that. She told me our family practiced the old religion. I said, "What? Christians?" She said no. She said Druidry and Wicca. I was like, "What's that?" And she said she'd explain it to me when I was older. She told me to tell Pat she still loved him after all these years. The following night, however, I was not greeted by the same presence as before. The really crazy thing was, it was something entirely different. That's when this entirely black figure, completely blacked and shadowed, but you could still make out the outline of this figure, walked through the doorway. His presence was obvious. He was not here to make friends, and it was apparent that it was not my grandfather. "Where's Grandpa? Where's Grandpa?" I can remember shouting, but no noise was uttered by the black figure. Just then, he pointed to the window right next to me in my bedroom. I didn't want to look, so I didn't. In fact, I refused to look. So I think I remember shutting my eyes and covering the blankets over my head, and just went on. I heard the door slam shut. The next morning, I woke up and went to greet my grandmother in her bedroom. Unfortunately, something was terribly wrong with my grandma. At the time I didn't realize it, but she had passed away in her sleep. And to this day, I really wonder if that had anything to do with my incident the night before. Was it a coincidence? I'm not entirely sure, but it devastated me for years to come. You may criticize me and say that 5-year-olds could not remember such a thing, but remember, I remembered it clearly because it was a traumatic event. My family has a history of abilities, and my grandma even talked to me about this before she passed away. I don't know, maybe it was Grandpa, and he was secretly saying that he wanted Grandma to be with him and that he missed her or something. But why did it feel so dark? Why was this present so dark? I can only conclude that now, as I think back to it, it had to be the death, the Grim Reaper himself, and there's no other explanation for it. One thing I still wonder to this day is that the Grim Reaper was pointing at the window. Remember, from earlier in the story. I always wondered, what if I did in fact look out the window? I would have saw something bizarre. Maybe my grandma's soul being transported into a different dimension. Or maybe, just maybe, it was just all in my head. Whichever the case, it doesn't matter. It was terrifying. Well, here we go. I'm not sure if what I'm experiencing is an actual haunting, or if everything can be easily explained. I live in South Texas, not in the sticks. I'm 17 years old, and currently attend high school. I'll be graduating this year. Our house is very new. It is only 4 years old, and built by us, so nothing has happened in the house. However, we live directly on the banks of the San Antonio River. In fact, we're situated on a 75-foot cliff. On our property stands another house, where we also used to live while our house was being built. I never liked this house, and always felt very uneasy when staying there alone, or for that matter, with others in the house. I do not know exactly how old this house is, but I do know now that when they were adding new boards to the siding, they found old newspapers dating back to the late 30s and early 40s in the sides of the house. Now let me explain the layout of the older house. It has one bedroom and one kitchen. There's a living room, dining room, and an entertainment area for guests. The living room used to be my room. Between the bathroom and the bedroom, there lies a closet. The closet has 2 doors, connecting both rooms together. I always felt as if something was watching me from everywhere in the house, but never really experienced anything. Now that we have moved into our new house, things have intensified. I always feel the eyes on me now, and sometimes I am forced to run downstairs because of the overwhelming sense of dread that occurs while I am upstairs alone. I hear my shower door open and close during the night, and when I am downstairs watching TV, I can hear the water running in my bathroom. When school is in session, I usually get up around 5:30 to get ready, because I'm an academic editor for the yearbook, as well as class treasurer, so I usually have to be there early, so I can get everything in order for the student body. Well, once I was taking a shower, when I felt something hit the back of my leg with extreme force, I turned to rub my leg and search for the culprit, thinking maybe I'd accidentally knocked over a bottle of shampoo. Yet directly behind me was a penny. I have no idea where that could have come from. I haven't told anyone, as I think no one would believe me, and I'm more than happy to keep this to myself. Except, about 2 weeks ago, I had a dream that disturbed me greatly, and I feel someone needs to know. I had a dream that I lived in the old house on my land, and I was dressed in old style, late 30s clothing, and I was washing dishes. All of a sudden, a girl came running into the kitchen and kissed me, telling me she was on her way to an ice cream social in town, and that her boyfriend, she gave me a name, but I can't remember now, would be picking her up and taking her. She appeared to be my age now, and I'm supposing I was her mother, because I told her to take care and to wait to say goodbye to her father, something I will never say. Anyway, another girl appeared from the back, and I was now outside, standing on the porch drying my hands, and waving at a man pulling up in an old-style car, like you see in mafia movies from a long time ago. I kissed him, and he appeared to be my husband. He was explaining to me about his recent business venture, when I suddenly realized who I was. I took the man by the arms, and began to shake him uncontrollably, telling him he was crazy, because in a few months, the Great Depression would fall, and we would all starve to death. I then told him that we should save our money and move to Florida. He took a hold of me and told me that the heat must have gotten to me, kissed our 2 daughters goodbye, and took me into the house. Only we went into the bedroom and continued to walk through a second door and into a second bedroom that the house does not have today, and he laid me down on a cot. He told me to get my rest, and he kissed me on my forehead, and when I closed my eyes, I woke up in my room. It was the strangest dream I ever had, and as a result, I have not been able to sleep for days. I usually go to bed at 10, but lately I've been drifting off at 2 or 3 in the morning, and I usually dream every time, except now I don't, or do not remember when I wake up. I still feel like I am being watched, and I have no idea what is going on. If you, or anyone can shed some light on my situation, please email me. I would greatly appreciate it. I know this sounds weird, but it's very scary. I wonder if the dream has anything to do with the situation in my house. Thank you. Hi everybody, it's Phantom of Darkness, woohoo! It's Phantom, but it's Phantom of Halloween. Halloween Phantom. You guys may be thinking, what's this guy on? Is he on shrooms? Is he on ha ha ha? It's not shrooms, but something else. Because in this world, we're family friendly, and we don't care about no shrooms. We don't care about anything like that. When I say shrooms, I mean mushrooms that you get from your grandma's house, like in the story. I don't know what story I'm talking about, guys. But anyway, okay, I'll be serious for you guys. I'm just extra high energy because I'm really excited. Day 1 of the 31 days of Oktoberfest. I'm kidding, guys. I'm really excited to start off this October 1st with a story for you guys. Well, a collection of stories, to be honest. And I'm so happy for you. I'm happy for you guys, but I'm also happy for myself. But anyway, guys, please be sure to like, comment. I want to hear from you again. I want to hear the stories that you have about your life. And, well, I didn't mean to say that, but you know what I mean. Comment below. I personally feel like these stories are a little bit better than last week's stories. Last week's stories, they were alright, but these had more of a scare factor to them. The last one was a little bit tame compared to the other stories that I read earlier in this video, but, you know, it doesn't matter. Please take the opportunity to share these videos on any social media you like, whether that's Facebook, you know, MySpace, Twitter. MySpace doesn't exist, but anyway, guys, no, seriously, it's a real joy, and I'm really honored to be able to, you know, get videos out to you guys. I'm really passionate about being able to get videos out, especially in October, because it's finally October. I can't contain my enthusiasm. I'm really passionate about this stuff. It just makes me feel so good. I feel so refreshed, and I feel so lively, I guess, more so than usual, which is kind of funny because I am lively, so it's like, you know, extra lively. But guys, whenever I get a video out, it makes me happy to be able to entertain you guys, and I know you guys are so excited, so that's why I'm happy. I don't know why I have to explain why I'm happy, but you guys make me happy. So please, you know, comment below, let me know what you think, and, you know, I'll leave after. Well, I won't leave forever, but I'll be here watching over you guys, kind of like, you know, Jesus up there in the sky. If you're not religious, then I'll be on the ground looking at you from the dirt. Okay, guys, I gotta go. See you guys. Love you so much, and I'll see you in the next video.